My beloved, before we begin, pause. Not just your body, but your spirit. Still your mind for a moment. Close the tabs in your head. Silence the guilt that's been building in your chest. This message, this exact moment, is not an interruption. It is a divine appointment. You did not click this by mistake. You didn't stumble here through chance or curiosity. You were brought here by heaven's hand, because heaven has decided that the silence can no longer continue. This is about your daughter. Yes, that daughter. The one whose laughter used to light up your house like morning sun through stained glass. The one whose innocence once danced through hallways, barefoot and wild. The one who now walks quieter, keeps her door closed longer, and speaks with eyes that don't quite meet yours anymore. You've noticed it, haven't you? The distance, the ache, the silence. But child of God, this isn't just about behavior. This is spiritual. And it's time to expose what hell tried to keep hidden. Listen closely, not with your ears, with your soul, because the veil is about to be lifted. There has been a battle raging, not in your living room, not in your daughter's school, not in her journal or her phone, but in the invisible. The spiritual war for her identity has begun, and you, her parent, have been feeling it, even if you didn't have the words for it. Let me tell you something that might break you before it heals you. Your daughter is not simply pulling away. She's bleeding, quietly, spiritually, emotionally. And while you've tried to reason with yourself, she's just going through a phase. She's just tired. She'll grow out of it. Heaven knows better. She's not in rebellion. She's in a war for her voice, a war for her heart, a war for her destiny. And the enemy has been playing dirty. There are things she's never told you. Moments at school where the air grew sharp with rejection. Conversations with friends that left her feeling invisible. Images online that whispered she wasn't enough. Comments from adults that lodged like knives in her chest. She's learned how to mask it. She's learned how to smile when her spirit is shaking. She's learned how to say, "I'm fine," with a voice that trembles under the weight of silence. And you, dear parent, have seen the signs. But now, God is removing the blindfold. Because this isn't just about what she's going through. It's about what she's becoming. Heaven is saying, she is not broken. She is becoming. But first, she must be seen. Not as the version you remember. Not as the girl you raised. But as the soul you're being called to fight for. Let me speak clearly now. There's a woman. Yes, a real one. She wears kindness like perfume, but carries poison in her words. She has spoken over your daughter. Jealousy, comparison, doubt. She has twisted truth subtly, questioned her worth, planted seeds of insecurity. It might be someone you'd never suspect, a family member, a teacher, a church leader, a friend of the family. She didn't scream insults. She whispered curses, and those whispers became chains. Chains that made your daughter question her beauty, her calling, her belonging. But heaven heard every word. And now, Archangel Michael has drawn his sword. He has been sent, yes, sent on assignment. Not to comfort, but to war. To war for your daughter's mind. To war for her voice. To break every curse that was ever spoken. God says, I've counted her tears. The ones she cried when no one saw. The ones she swallowed to stay strong. The ones that stained her pillow in secret. But he is not just a witness. He is the restorer. Right now, this moment, angels are gathering, not just to comfort, but to remind her she is not a mistake. She is not forgotten. She is not invisible. She is anointed, appointed, and deeply seen. Let me tell you what God is revealing next. She carries gifts heaven handcrafted in her soul before her first breath. She has a voice that will break chains, hands that will heal, ideas that will change generations. A light that hell tried to extinguish in childhood, but it didn't work, because your daughter was not made to blend in. She was made to blaze. She was never called to be normal. She was called to be chosen, and chosen ones often suffer silently until the heavens roar. But this message is not just about her. It's about you too, because God sees you, the worry behind your smile, the ache in your chest at night, the questions you don't dare speak aloud. Did I fail or did I miss it? Am I too late? No, beloved. You did not fail. You were faithful with what you knew. And now God is giving you more. Not more guilt, more grace. You are being invited into her healing, into her restoration, into her future, because the door is not closed. The story is not over. It's only just beginning. Your daughter still wants you, even if she acts like she doesn't. She's watching how you fight for her. She's waiting to see if you'll lean in when she pushes away. She's desperate for you to see past the walls and reach for her soul, not to fix her, but to love her back to life. So type it now. If you feel the pull in your spirit, my daughter is chosen. I receive healing for my family. I trust God's timing. God, protect my daughter. Speak it out loud, because heaven is listening. And when you speak, things shift. When you declare, chains break. When you believe, miracles begin. My child, lean in deeper now, because heaven isn't finished speaking. What I'm about to reveal may stir the waters of your soul. It may bring memories to the surface. It may bring tears, but let them fall, because what breaks you now will not destroy you. It will deliver you. We must talk about the gifts your daughter carries. The ones she doesn't see yet. The ones the world never recognized. The ones the enemy tried to bury while she was still a child. Heaven says, there's a flame inside her, but it has been hidden beneath layers of fear, coated in criticism, buried beneath the opinions of others, and threatened by voices that tried to reshape her destiny. She has heard these lies. You're too sensitive. You ask too many questions. You need to calm down. You're not like the others. But what others labeled as too much was actually the mark of her anointing. That sensitivity? It's not weakness. It's discernment. That fire in her words? It's not rebellion. It's prophetic boldness. That imagination they try to quiet? It's the breath of heaven whispering innovation into her soul. She was never called to blend in. She was marked to awaken others. Listen carefully. There are 3 spiritual gifts your daughter carries. And God is now unveiling them because it's time for you to protect, nurture, and speak into them. Your daughter feels things deeply. Rooms shift when she enters. She senses tension no one else acknowledges. She absorbs pain she doesn't yet know how to process. That's not emotional instability. That's spiritual awareness. She has been chosen as a spiritual feeler, one who detects what others dismiss. This is why the enemy targeted her emotions. Why anxiety and sadness try to make their home in her chest. Because the enemy knew that if he could distort what she senses, he could distract her from what she's called to discern. But now God is restoring clarity to her perception. He is teaching her the difference between spiritual empathy and emotional weight. And you, beloved parent, are being called to help her separate truth from torment. Your daughter dreams in color. She draws visions in her notebooks. She writes stories that sound like scripture. She sings melodies she never learned. These are not just hobbies. They're holy echoes. She carries the spirit of a creative prophet. Her imagination is not fantasy. It is foundation for divine revelation. What seems like random doodles are actually heavenly blueprints. What looks like song lyrics in the back of her journal are prophetic messages waiting to be released. And this is why the enemy tried to shame her uniqueness. He tried to convince her she was weird. He tried to silence her with peer pressure, self-doubt, and rejection. But he failed, because what God placed in her cannot be canceled, only cultivated. So cultivate it, parent. Tell her the truth. Your creativity is sacred. Your difference is divine. She may seem quiet now, but there is thunder in her bones. Your daughter carries a future that includes healing broken hearts and leading wounded people. Not through a pulpit, maybe, but through compassion, authenticity, and courage. This is why betrayal came early. Why friendships failed. Why teachers misunderstood her. Because the enemy knew if she ever rose with confidence, she would carry generational authority. But God is lifting the fog of confusion from her spirit. He is whispering to her even now, daughter, rise. Your voice is not too small. Your story is not too messy. Your presence shifts atmospheres. She is not just a daughter in your home. She is a daughter of destiny. Now let's speak about you, because this kind of revelation requires your participation. God is not just showing you these things so you can watch from a distance. He is inviting you to step in. This isn't just her battle. It's your family's awakening. But to help her step into her identity, you must first confront your own shadows. The pressure you felt to be perfect, that wasn't from God. The guilt for the moments you missed, that wasn't heaven's voice. God says, "You have carried burdens I never asked you to carry. You have blamed yourself for things I already forgave. You have fought for your child, but now I want to fight for you." Let me ask you something painful. Was there a moment you looked at her and felt like you didn't recognize her anymore? A moment when you thought, "Where did my little girl go?" That ache, that moment of disconnection was not your fault. It was the result of a generational wall. A wall built by trauma, by fear, by unspoken pain passed down from mothers to daughters like heirlooms made of glass. But the hammer of heaven is breaking that wall today. God says, this wall breaks with you. The silence ends with you. The shame lifts with you. You are not a perfect parent, but you are a chosen one. And chosen parents are not called to control their children. They are called to cover them in prayer, truth, and prophetic love. So tonight, when the house is quiet, when the lights go out, and you pass her door, I want you to place your hand on it and whisper this prayer. God, awaken the glory inside my daughter. Unbind her voice, release her dreams, and teach me how to love her like you do. Let me tell you what will happen after this prayer. There will be a shift. You may see her laugh again for no reason. She may walk into the room and hug you, unprompted. She may cry and not know why. Do not fear that shift. That is heaven invading. That is the weight lifting. That is the heart softening. That is the veil tearing. Your daughter is being awakened, and so are you. God is healing both of you, not just emotionally, spiritually, prophetically, generationally. What once felt like separation is becoming sacred alignment. And this is only the beginning. Beloved, you've come far now. You've faced the ache. You've listened to the tears behind her silence. You've stood on holy ground as heaven pulled back the veil. But the Spirit of God is not finished yet. There's something deeper, something sacred and ancient that must be revealed. Not just about your daughter, but about your entire bloodline. Because what's been attacking her didn't start with her. It's been following your family, but ends now. There's a pattern. God says, I am exposing the spiritual inheritance she carries, but to protect it, you must understand what has tried to destroy it. The enemy didn't just target your daughter randomly. He studied your bloodline. He saw what flowed through your veins and what heaven deposited in your womb generations ago. This is not just about parenting. This is about generational deliverance. Let's go back, shall we? Your mother, your grandmother, the women before you. How many of them carried silent pain? How many were told to be strong, but never shown how to heal? How many suffered in silence, wore smiles over trauma, and held families together while their own souls crumbled? It's not just your daughter's burden. It's the legacy of unspoken wounds. But heaven says what was hidden in them will not remain hidden in her. What broke them will not break her. Because I'm not just healing your daughter. I'm healing your lineage. This is why it's been so hard. Why the pressure felt unbearable. Why the pain seemed deeper than the moment deserved. You weren't just wrestling with her mood swings. You were wrestling with generations of spiritual residue. Let me tell you the truth plainly. Your daughter has been marked to be the first. The first to break the silence. The first to say, no more. The first to walk in emotional honesty and spiritual fire at the same time. But every first comes with a fight, and she's been feeling it. That's why her dreams have been foggy. That's why she sometimes wakes up heavy. That's why the enemy tried to convince her that she's too much, too emotional, too dramatic. Because he knows if she ever believes what God says about her, everything in your family shifts. The curse ends. The silence breaks. The flame spreads. Now hear this. There's an angel standing over your house, and his name is Michael. Archangel Michael, commander of the armies of heaven, assigned by the Most High to war on behalf of your daughter. Not because she's perfect, but because she's chosen. There is an active angelic defense in your home right now. You may not see them, but the atmosphere knows they're present. Doors that were closed in her life are being unlocked. Strongholds over her identity are being shattered. Whispers of unworthiness are being drowned out by the roar of heaven. she is mine. She is known. She is covered. And this is where it gets real. The attacks on your daughter weren't just emotional. They were strategic. They were meant to delay her gifts, to confuse her calling, to warp her self-image, to make her settle for less than she was born to carry. But heaven says delay is not denial. And what the enemy distorted, I am now restoring. She will not grow into the version you were afraid of. She will not repeat the cycles that haunted you. She will not become what shame prophesied over your family. Because you stood in the gap, because you prayed, because you listened, because you stayed. And now the generational curse has found its match. A parent who chose healing instead of hiding. God says, your daughter is becoming a breaker of bondage, a breaker of silence, a breaker of generational chains. And she's not breaking them by accident. She's breaking them by design. That's why she challenges things, why she questions rules that don't make sense, why she doesn't fit into traditional molds. That's not rebellion. That's a reformer spirit. She's a warrior dressed like a teenager, and heaven is now activating her spiritual authority. Let me explain. Your daughter has been having thoughts she can't quite explain. Sudden empathy for hurting people. Flashes of images during worship or silence. A heaviness that comes and goes. Moments where she feels things before they happen. These are not coincidences. They are prophetic signals. The Holy Spirit is awakening her gift of spiritual sight. She may not have the language for it yet, but the stirring has begun, and it's your voice that will help her name it. Don't be afraid of her depth. Don't run from her intensity. Don't try to tame the parts of her that make others uncomfortable. She wasn't made for comfort. She was made for consecration. So what do you do now? You step into position, not as the authority she fears, but as the intercessor she needs. It's time to stop asking what's wrong with her and start praying what's rising in her. Because something is rising, and it's holy. Your home is becoming a training ground. Your words, life or death. Your presence, covering or crushing. Speak carefully now. Speak prophetically. Don't say what fear says. Say what God says. You are chosen. You are powerful. You are more than enough. God has a plan for your voice. These words aren't just encouragement. They're weapons of warfare in her mind. Let's end this part with a declaration. I want you to whisper it as you read. Say it as many times as your spirit needs to hear it. The curse ends with me. The silence ends with me. The fear ends with me. The pain ends with me. And the glory begins with her. Let's sink in. You're not just parenting. You are partnering with God to build a legacy of freedom, fire, and faith. And heaven rejoices. My beloved, the war is not over, but the tide is turning. Heaven has shifted the atmosphere around your house, and now God is ready to release the next wave. Restoration. Not just surface-level smiles. Not just family photos with hidden fractures. God is bringing a restoration that goes deeper than behavior. He is rebuilding something from the inside out, the bridge between your heart and hers. But first, you need to know something sacred. She still loves you. Yes, beneath the silence, beneath the tension, beneath the slammed doors and tired eyes, is a soul longing for one thing, to be seen and safe with you again. Do you remember the early days? When she reached for your hand instinctively, when she ran to you with scraped knees and open arms, when mom or dad wasn't just a title, but a safe place. Those moments weren't just memories. They were covenant shadows, glimpses of the unbreakable love God wired into your connection with her. But somewhere along the way, life happened. Schedules, stress, mistakes, silence. You both started building walls instead of bridges. And now, you're both standing on opposite sides, waiting for the other to walk across. But heaven is handing you the blueprint to rebuild it. Here is God's divine strategy for restoration. She might not open the door the first time. She might not trust your presence yet. But heaven says, don't stop knocking. Not with words, but with actions. A quiet knock at her door, followed by a warm smile. A note left on her pillow that simply says, I'm proud of you, even when I don't say it enough. A cup of tea on her desk without explanation. A how are you really? That doesn't rush the answer. These small acts are not small to heaven. They are bricks in the bridge. Every time you show up without control or correction, you show her something sacred. You are still worth pursuing. You've seen the behavior. You've noticed the changes. You've been tempted to fix, correct, scold, or retreat. But this battle won't be won with lectures. It will be won with prophetic vision. When you speak to her, speak to what God sees, not what the enemy tried to make her. Tell her, I see the leader in you, even when you're afraid. You carry light, even when life feels heavy. There's a fire in you that this world needs. These aren't just compliments. These are spiritual activations. You are unlocking the God seed inside of her with your voice. This one might hurt, but it will heal you both. There's power in a parent who says, I was wrong. I missed it. I let my fear speak louder than my love. I didn't always know how to handle what you were feeling, but I want to learn. When you confess, you don't lose authority. You gain trust. Because she's not looking for perfection. She's looking for someone real. And when she sees you choosing humility over pride, openness over image, connection over control, something inside her will soften. This next part might surprise you. She has questions about God, about you, about herself, about why things felt the way they did. Let her ask them. Don't defend. Don't deflect. Just listen. Let her grief have space without being dismissed. Let her pain be valid without trying to solve it too quickly. Let her heart speak without interruption. Because sometimes the most healing thing a parent can say is, tell me everything. I'm not going anywhere. Now, brace yourself. Because as you begin to walk this bridge of restoration, heaven is about to unleash her purpose. The enemy spent years trying to make her doubt her worth, because he knew if she ever walked in confidence, she would become dangerous to darkness. But now, she's awakening. She may not even understand it yet, but deep within, there's a stirring she can't ignore. And God is using your voice to awaken her authority. Let me tell you what's coming. You will begin to see signs of her spirit rising. She'll start asking deeper questions about purpose. She'll create things again, songs, poems, artwork, ideas. She'll gravitate toward the hurting, the quiet, the rejected. She'll weep for the broken and feel burdened for the voiceless. And you'll feel the shift. She is becoming the very thing the enemy tried to prevent. A healer, a leader, a prophetic voice. She may do it through music, or writing, or counseling, or worship, or business, or even through friendship that carries the weight of heaven's love. But however it manifests, you must recognize, this is not personality. This is prophetic identity. God says, she is not yours to control. She is mine to unleash. Your job is not to shape her into your image. Your job is to steward the glory she carries with humility, wisdom, and grace. Because your daughter is a mirror of heaven's creativity. And when you stop trying to change her, you'll finally see how God is using her to change you. Let's go deeper still. Have you noticed how your heart is healing too? The more you pursue her in love, the more heaven restores your own lost voice. Because this was never just about her. It was about the generations that came before you, and the ones that will come after her. You are part of a divine relay, and this is your baton pass. You are passing on blessing instead of burden, love instead of legacy wounds, freedom instead of fear, and the angels are watching. Let's end this part with another holy declaration. Speak it aloud as a covenant between you and God. God, I choose love over pride. I choose humility over distance. I choose to see her the way you do. I choose to fight for her with faith, not fear. And I trust you to finish what you started in both of us. Heaven has heard you. And now, as you wipe your tears and return to your daughter's door, know this, you are not knocking alone. Jesus is already on the other side of it.